I recently did some long box diving at a local shop, and now I've got a haul of 50-cent and dollar books to share with you. Check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and this is Northgarden Comics. Recently, I got to go to a shop that I've only been to 2 or 3 times. It's a store called Pulp Comics and Games, and they're located in the city of Mankato, Minnesota, which is about an hour south of the Twin Cities. And for those of you who are old enough to have watched the show Little House on the Prairie when you were a kid, yes, it's that Mankato. And what I love about Pulp Comics and Games is that in addition to having new books and a great selection of back issues, they have a really great selection of 50-cent and dollar bins. And that's what I headed in for, to just, scratch that itch of doing some long box diving and get my hands on some dollar books. In just a minute, I will get out of the way and I'll show you those books. But first, let me say, if you like this kind of content, please take just a minute and hit that subscribe button and come along this comic collecting journey with me. And as you watch, if you see something that you like, give it a thumbs up. And of course, please let me know your thoughts and questions down below. With the housekeeping out of the way, let's swing the camera around and I'll show you what I got.
Okay, let's kick things off with a couple 50-cent books. This first one is a one-shot from IDW Publishing. I have been collecting the Transformers books that they've been doing for several years now, and this was one I never got new. It's a one-shot, Mars Attacks Transformers. It's got a cool-looking animated style there. I like the way Megatron looks on the inside page there, but apparently IDW did a series of these one-shots. It says the weekly event of the year starts on the second day of the year. Martians invade 5 different IDW timelines and universes this month. So they did a bunch of these different one-shots, but I saw that and I figured it looked kind of fun and not a lot else, anything else to have to collect with that to have the whole story, and 50 cents, so sure, why not? This is the other 50-cent book I got. This is Marvel Knights X-Men Part 3 of 5. I now have the full 5-issue limited series, so I can read the whole thing. I don't even know what the story is, but as I've hunted these down, I've only paid 50 cents or maybe $1 tops for any one of the issues. So my total investment at most is $5, and I know it's less than that because this one here was 50 cents. So it's a pretty low risk investment. So now I can read the whole limited series and see what I think. These next 3 books I felt pretty lucky to find. These are all from a limited series called Transformers versus the Visionaries, and it brings together 2 of my favorite childhood franchises from the 80s, Transformers and the Visionaries. I love that cartoon. I have the 6-issue comic book limited series that Marvel did back in, 1987. So 2 very cool properties, and now they're thrown together in this limited series. What makes this one a little bit different than some of the other limited series that Transformers have done is that this one actually takes place within the larger Transformers ongoing universe. This was part of the, what do they call it? The Hasbro shared universe, where they had Transformers, Visionaries, G.I. Joe, Mask, and other properties all existing within the same universe. This was part of that. It's a 5-issue limited series. I only ever got issue number 1 when it first came out, and ever since then, I've been hunting for the others. I was just hoping I could find them in dollar bins, but I never see them. Or if I do, they're beat up pretty badly. So these were in good shape and only $1 a piece. I found issue 2, issue 3, which has got a cool wheeljack on the cover, and then issue number 5. So happy to have found those, and now I only need issue number 4 to complete the limited series. Here's another Transformers book that I found. This was from a crossover event called First Strike. You can see here a Hasbro comic book event. I have gotten all of the issues I think that I have around this event. I've gotten them after the fact as back issues in like dollar bins. And I don't know, this was just one that I still needed. I don't know what the plot is of this, but I've had it on my wish list, and If I can hold out and find it for $1, I will, and I finally did find it. One more Transformers book to show you. This is Optimus Prime #1. This is from his ongoing series. His title actually replaced, or it was the reboot of what was Transformers Robots in Disguise, and then that got retitled just to Transformers. And then when it started over with a new #1, it was Optimus Prime. And this is a retailer incentive A cover. It's got a cool graffiti look where it looks like it's spray painted on a brick wall. I have the regular issue 1 of this, and I'm not typically hunting for variants, but if I can find a cool variant with with art that I like, and it's only $1, then sure, I'm not opposed to picking those up. I'll get those. It's more like you have another piece of art in your collection. And another thing I'll show you here, because I just mentioned this in one of my last videos, the interior artist, Kei Zama, she did the interior pencils for this series, and she really hits a nice kind of old school Transformers vibe with her drawing. And that, in addition to who's the colorist on this? Josh Burcham. I just think they did a great job of bringing out that Generation 1 Transformers nostalgia. And actually, maybe it's not so much Transformers Generation 1. This actually reminds me more of the Generation 2 comic book series, the 12-issue limited series that ran back in the 90s. It definitely has that kind of edgy, kind of sharp lines kind of a look to it. But either way, it brings up good nostalgic feelings. So just wanted to point out her art, but picked it up for the cover there. Next, we've got a She-Hulk book. Got this just because it's She-Hulk. I don't know the story here, but this is an annual. And I honestly, I don't know how they're doing annuals these days. I don't know that she had an ongoing title at the time. And then this was the annual, but it is, annuals typically are more of like your one-shot story. They introduce plot lines or explore things in more depth. Sometimes it might feature other creative talent. I wasn't going to get this one new, but when it's only $1, then I'm happy to add it to my collection. Here we've got some more progress I made on this limited series, 12-part limited series called Dead Man Logan. If you're not familiar already with this character, this is Old Man Logan, and what happened was back in 2015 in the event series Secret Wars, that was when Doom essentially got the powers of a god and the multiverse was destroyed, but he saved together bits and pieces of the multiverse and knit them together in this patchwork planet that he called Battle World. And one of those realities that he pulled from was the reality of Old Man Logan, which is, post-apocalyptic dystopian future, and you got a gritty old Logan character. Anyway, he winds up in the Marvel Prime universe and kind of runs with the X-Men for a little while there. But this is kind of the exit, I think, for him in the Marvel Prime universe. I don't know if he actually dies at the end of this. That's what they set you up for. But we'll see. I haven't read it yet. I still need 2 more issues to complete this volume, or to complete this run. But I like the character, and I like Mike Henderson, too, as an artist. And I think his style lends itself well to a character like Logan, because Logan's that short, gritty, stocky type of a character. There's one panel here, I think, that shows it well, where he's fighting this guy. I don't know, that sort of shows it there, but I just think Mike Henderson's art style lends itself well to a character like Old Man Logan. So 2 more issues to go, and then I'll be able to read that whole series. These next 2 books I picked up, honestly, out of, I'm not sure, just I figured, what the heck, why not? This was Marvel Knights #4. I think they did like a 6-issue story for Marvel Knights, and it must have been an anniversary of Marvel Knights or something why they did this, but I got the first issue in a dollar bin. I got some of the others. I think it was about 6 issues long, but I never got issue #4, and at one point I figured, nah, I don't really want it all that badly. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just forget about it. But I have everything but this issue, and I would continue to see this issue in dollar bins, and so I finally said, oh, why not? Just get it. Maybe I'll really like the story. So now I have issue 4, got the whole series, 6-parter, and I can read that whole story and see if I like it or not. Similar story here. I have the first 2 parts of this Prodigal Son story. It went over 3 different titles, and I did not have the Guardians of the Galaxy piece. I haven't read any of it yet. Wasn't going to worry about it, but then I figured, well, it's only $1. Why not? So there you have it. Next, we've got a couple older books. Here is Nightcrawler number 3 of 4. This is from his first limited series. Don't know the story again, but I love the X-Men, and I've seen this before, but I've never hunted for it. And now I have 2 of the 4 issues, and the reason I'm picking them up when I find them like this is because this is in really nice shape. It's not dinged up at all. The pages are nice and white inside, and so I figured, for $1, and it's X-Men, it's in really nice shape, why not? And this is from, what, 1986? And you see here, the writer-artist on this is Dave Cockrum. So that's pretty cool, too. So 2 of 4 issues to go on that. And it's newsstand, and I know that's not as big a deal in 1986, because that was much more common still at that time. I still like the newsstands, because whether or not they were common, I still think it's harder to get a newsstand in high grade than to find one that's beat up. It just seems like it's much more likely to get beat up newsstand, whether there's a lot of them or not. Then you've got another 4-part limited series I'm working on. This is Beauty and the Beast, story featuring Dazzler and the Beast of the X-Men. Another newsstand, and again, this is one I wasn't ever looking for, but then figured, well, if I'm finding them in really nice shape, why not get them and add them to my collection? So I think with this, I think I only need 1 more part to complete that limited series. 2 more books to show you. They are both from this title, Marvel Fanfare. So Andrew, I hope you're watching, because you'll appreciate these next 2 books. This is a series that I only in the last year or so, I think, started picking up. At first I thought maybe I'd do the whole thing, and then I thought, nah, I don't know that I want to do the whole thing, but that doesn't mean I can't pick up a cool cover here and there if I see them and find them for cheap. The way Marvel Fanfare worked overall was it was a more premium volume. Premium in the sense it was on higher quality paper, so it was on this glossy paper, and there were no ads, so you had a higher price tag that went along with that. You had this little intro that you'd get on the inside cover. So they utilized every page. There's story or information on the inside cover, but then if you go all the way to the back here, this is the final page of this Vision story, and that's printed on the inside of the back cover. But they also have either a wraparound cover or at least a double-sided artwork. You just get no ads. You get art on every page. So I bought this one for the SheHulk cover. So that was a cool pickup there. And then the last one I got is my favorite book of this lot. And I knew it was cool when I picked it up, but I didn't know how cool it was until I got home and did a little reading about it. This is Marvel Fanfare issue number 51. I mean, the cover right there is eye-catching and gorgeous. Silver Surfer, and it's nice wraparound cover there. But that artist who did the cover and then the whole interior story is John Buscema. Now, why is that significant? Well, I pulled this out. John Buscema is the person who was the penciler on this first volume of Silver Surfer. So he and Stan Lee did volume 1 of Silver Surfer together. It was however many issues long. I do not have the first volume of Silver Surfer. I am contenting myself to have these fantasy masterpieces reprints from the late 70s, early 80s, because I can find these in dollar bins. I cannot find the Silver Surfer volume 1 in a dollar bin, so I will have to settle for these, but they're still great. and they're reprints, they're square bound. But John Buscema is the one who did the art on this original volume. And now fast forward to this book here. In mid to late 80s, Marvel was discussing giving Silver Surfer another 12-issue limited series with double-sized issues, and you can read about all that here. But the story is they were going to do another 12-issue limited series. It was going to be written by Steve Englehart, and it was going to be drawn by John Buscema. Now, over the course of discussions, they changed it up and said, well, let's not do a limited series, we're going to do an ongoing series. And then as they were kind of going back and forth about what direction the story would go, things like that, John Buscema dropped off the book, and he was replaced by Marshall Rogers. And the book I'm referring to, I'll show you another one here, is this Silver Surfer volume that ran for 150 issues. So this is what it eventually became. It was still written by Steve Englehart, but in the beginning it was drawn by Marshall Rogers. John Buscema was not doing it. But this story here was actually Steve and John's issue number 1 when it was still a 12-issue limited series. So again, another way that Marvel Fanfare functioned was to pull out of the vault, or from the unused files, stories and artwork that never got published. And so here's a chance in 1990 to have a never before seen Silver Surfer story done by Steve Englehart and John Buscema. So very happy to have this. That was unexpected. Like I said, the cover was eye-grabbing to begin with, but I didn't know the significance of it. Does this have dollar value to it? No, it was in a dollar bin, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable to a collector, and I just think that was a really cool find, and so my favorite of that 15-book stack.
All right, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up this Dollar Bin comic haul from Pulp Comics and Games. If you want to know more about them, I've got links to their website and social media accounts down below in the description. I hope you saw something that you liked. If so, give it a thumbs up. And let me know, what are you collecting these days? What are you on the hunt for? And what are you finding in the dollar bins? If you're not quite ready for the fun to stop, I've got a couple hand-selected videos here you might want to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.